just thinking about the kind of patterns of activation and patterns of, I guess, behaviour or patterns of physiology that happen in and around what it is being a human being, being a person. And it seems to me that that these patterns operate on a whole range of scales, and some of those patterns we associate with and feel to be it's those patterns that we're indicating when we point to ourselves and say, this is me, or this is myself, those kind of things. At one end of the scale there's some kind of patterns which I would characterise as kind of interior, although that's the term which I might come back to, which at their most central, if you like, are the patterns of biochemical activation, patterns of physiological electrochemical stimulations, all those regular, persistent, stable patterns that carry out core functioning of certain aspects of the body. These are the patterns that Thomas Metzinger talks about in Being No One, and Antonio Damasio talks about, and which may or may not provide the template for the sense that we all have of being kind of centered, of having a core sense of self. That all the time we're alive we have this very, well, it's literally imperceptible. It's outside of the range of conscious awareness. Not outside the range, of inside, too far inside the range of conscious awareness. And then we have patterns which are persistent, stable, relatively stable, which we can just about get conscious awareness of. And here I'm thinking of something like a heartbeat. My heart, I don't think it's unusual, my heart started beating the moment I was, I don't know, actually probably before I was born, but it's a very early stage of my life, and it's still beating now, and it'll keep beating until I peg out, which will probably be from a heart attack, actually, since my father died from a heart attack at about the age of 62, I think, so I've got about 10 years in that. But that pattern of the heartbeat, which I can bring to attention if I choose to, is like this steady backbeat, and it is a pattern, a rhythm, which accompanies our lives. And then there's others like breathing and proprioception. And then there are a series of patterns to do with sensory engagement, I think. Sensory engagement on the in terms of interoception. I can consciously sense what's happening in my body. I can put my attention to my fingertips, so I can feel this camera. I can attend to how my stomach muscles feel. I can attend to how the hip joint is moving as I walk. Those kind of interoceptive behaviours, but also exteroceptive engagements, looking at the world, feeling these dog leads in my hand, hearing the cars on the bypass, and so on. So there's another set of patterns there. And then there's patterns which I would characterise as exterior to me. The patterns of activation, patterns of behaviour, patterns of being, I suppose, that kind of produce the world around me. The gravitation that's keeping me on the ground and that's providing a direction for these plants to grow in. The light that's largely falling vertically, and the way that's arranging shadows around me. And again, that's the way that's the effect that's having on the growth of the plants. The kind of ecological processes that are both around me and which I'm part of, but again, which I can't directly apprehend. And of course the larger physical patterns, cosmological patterns, which I can kind of know about academically, intellectually, but I can't engage with. Again, they're outside of the range of my conscious awareness. So some of those patterns are exterior to what I think of as the body, and some of those are interior to what I think of as the body. And they operate at a whole range of different scales, and I'm included in all of those scales. But only some of those patterns, as I say, are the ones that I think of as myself, really. And those tend to be the ones which I think are associated most closely with sensory engagement. Perhaps there's something to do with memory. I'm not quite sure how memory figures in that, but I think there's something important there. things to do with pleasures and pains seem to be identifying with those things. And of course with mortality. I've spoken about death before, and certainly some of those patterns will cease forever at a certain point, probably when I'm 62 if I'm going to follow my father's footsteps. And again, I'm quite identifying with the terminal nature of certain of those patterns, and apparently not identifying with the ones that aren't terminal, unfortunately. So I guess I'm just trying to reconceive human existence, if you like, as one scale of operation within a set of patterns, or consciousness, particularly self-identification, as one scale of operation in that whole nested set of patterns. And come on, you, come on. And what it feels to be alive and awake seems to follow from that level of engagement.